unable to understand what is API.
Well, not to worry when I'm here. We will walk through what is API, technical jargon around API, that is client, server, request, response, HTTP methods, status code, testing of API using Postman, types of API, benefits of API, inbound versus outbound integration in Salesforce. And then we have bonus topics, demo and lots of demo, fun fact and the quiz time. All in a fun way, like I am 10. So let's get started. You are feeling hungry, so you order biryani on Zomato. Now as you eagerly wait for your delivery, you start checking the Zomato app for the current location of the delivery person. How will Zomato get this kind of map? Will it do the hard work of making something so complex when Google Maps is already present? Well, Zomato uses Google Maps API to get the Google Maps. Still not clear? Let's take another example. Let's look at how Make My Trip works. When you search for flights, have you ever thought about how it shows you flight from different airlines and which seats are actually available? That's because Make My Trip uses APIs provided by the airlines. These APIs help Make My Trip fetch information about flights and seat availability directly from airline system. This way, you can see and book available seats right away. Essentially, an API stands for Application Programming Interface, which acts as a middleman that transfers data from one place to another. It helps two applications to communicate to each other.
There is a lot of tech jargon around API which I am unable to understand.
In the example of Zomato and Google Maps, Zomato is client, Google Map is server. Now Zomato cannot directly interact with Google Maps server, so there will be a middleman which is called Google Maps API. Zomato will send requests to Google Maps API. Once Google Maps API has the data, then it will send response to the Zomato.
Now that seems clear.
Let's dive a bit deeper. When Zomato needs information, it sends a request using HTTP to what we call an endpoint. Think of an endpoint as a specific address or route on the internet where Zomato can ask for the data it needs. Now when the Google Maps API get the request, it wants to send the response. That response is not in terms of plain English, like driver is 10 minutes away. It sends response in JSON or XML format.
What will happen if Zomato sends wrong requests?
Well, for that, status codes come into picture. A number code that appears in the body of an API response that tells you if your request was successful or not. The first number in the code represents the category of status. If the code starts with a 2, your request was successfully processed. If the code starts with 4, something went wrong.
Can you show me a demo so I am more clear?
Demo time! Now for the purpose of the demo, we will be looking on the Postman. Now what Postman does is, like for API testing, it is a very good tool. So it has very good user interface and we can see about it. So first of all, you go to the web postman.com, and the web you can make the request, or you can have the desktop version of it. So you will be coming on postman.com downloads, and then you can simply click on Windows 64-bit if it is Windows, and for Mac you can also click here. For OS download for Mac, here it is, and that's how you will be able to download it. Once you download, you can have it in the desktop itself. Right now I'm using the web app. So here you will be going to workspace. You can create the workspace to start with, but I already have a workspace, so I will go to my workspace. So here you will be seeing some work which I have already done in the past, the request which I have already made. Now here comes the plus icon. If I want to create a new request, this plus sign. Now once we have that, just observe. Here we have multiple methods, like what we want to do. For example, I want to get something, get some information. So I will use get request. Now for the purpose of this demo, I will be using this HTTP cat website which we mentioned earlier. So now what happens is, I just want to check whether I will be able to fetch information or not. So I will be simply clicking here and say send. Once I do that, you see status 200 OK, which means that yes, you can send request and get the information. So based on status code, you will be able to understand that. Now the next step would be, like, let's go back. So see, it's like a documentation you can think of. That what it says is, okay, if you put http cat and then if you put status code, then you will be able to see that particular image. So for example, I want to see this cat. So what I would do is http cat and then 100. So it's a fun example. Let's see. So I put 100 here and get, like, I want to get the information, and I click on send. So now see what happens. I get this cat, right? It really looks funny. Now let's do some more fun. Look at some other cat. Let's say 207. It looks pretty scary. Let's go with that. So I'll just simply say 207. Again the get request. See, there is no parameters, value description, nothing to worry about. It's simple click on send. And see, I get the scary cat and the status is 200. Okay, that our request is successful. And that's how you will be able to get whatever information you want to get. So play around with Postman. It is pretty interactive, and you can like go on to different websites and do this testing, and this is pretty amazing.
Well, that was a fun example.
Client makes requests to API using several methods. Let's understand with the help of Skippy Popsicles. Get method. Viewing the current inventory of Skippy Popsicles, including different flavors and quantities. Post method. It is about adding a new flavor of popsicles to the inventory system. Put method. It replaces an existing popsicle flavor with a completely new one in the inventory. Patch method. It updates the quantity of an existing popsicle flavor, such as adding 100 more strawberry popsicles to the stock. Delete method. It removes a discontinued flavor from the inventory system.
Can you show me this in action?
Demo time!
Now that we are clear with HTTP methods, we will be moving on and understanding about it using the demo. So here I have JSON placeholder.typecode.com, and what exactly here happens is, it's a free, fake and reliable API for testing and prototyping. What exactly it means is that you see that we have get, post, put, patch, delete. So you can have this kind of methods, and then it's like a fake one that you can check it, like if it is working and how exactly this method works. Cool, right? So for example, you want to check the get request. So it says put the whole URL and /post, and then once you form this request, then you will be receiving a response. Think of this as an API documentation where you get all the information about how to make a request. So for instance, if you make a request like that, you should be able to see something of this information. So let's see if that works. So what I will do is, I will copy this and simply see, I will go here and click on get, and then I will be saying /posts because that is what is being used, and then click on send. So see, you see this kind of information. So you have user ID, title and body. So that's how you are getting all the information. Now the second one is regarding post, that you want to post something. We're not actually posting it, it's like a fake one, but it will show us how exactly it works. So you go to the headers, and here see we have user ID, title and this. So we will be putting title, Smriti, maybe body, Sharon, and then we have user ID 5. So like that I have put. Now how I know that I need to put something of that sort? So basically you see guide and usage information. So if you click here, you see if you want to create a resource. So see, they have given an example that you will be putting like this, post, and then method is post, and then you put title, body, and then the user ID. ID will be created by itself. And once you do that, you should be getting a response like that. So now that's how we get to know, and that's how the API documentation comes into picture. So now let's see exactly if it works. So now I will be doing, I have the whole title, body, user ID in my header, and I will click on send. You see, we see 201 created, that yes, the resource has been created. Now comes a very important part between put and patch. It has always been confusing what is put, what is patch. So if, for example, you want to make a complete change, that you want to completely change whatever you have created, then you will be using put. But if you want to do the partial update, you will be doing the patch. Let's see patch, how exactly it works. So I click here patch, and I want to do the partial update, right? So it says /post/1. 1 means like whatever the ID is. So here I will be putting 101, and instead of title, maybe instead of Smriti, I want to say SFDC Amplified, my website and YouTube channel name, and then I say okay, send. See this, once I click on send, it says status 200 because it says that yes, you will be able to change it. So that's a partial update. Similarly, if you do the put, and you can completely change whatever information you want to put. So just to remind about that, we will be talking about the post. Then if you want to create new data to that endpoint, the completely new, like change all the information, so that time you will be using the post. Then when we are talking about put, then you are like putting and updating the existing data at the endpoint, like completely existing data. And the patch is like the partial update. So that's the difference between the put and the patch. Now comes the next point, and that is delete. So delete is like removing whatever we have put. So how we will do it? See, it says post/1. Simple, right? Post 101, and we say send. If we click on the send, we should be able to delete it, and we will be getting some information like here we say that okay, the resource has been deleted. We see 200 status okay, and we should be able to delete. See this, we have delete, we have post 101 because that's the ID, and then we have status 200, which shows that yes, you are able to delete it.
Now that I understand HTTP method, does this mean I can access any API and retrieve any data?
Well, it's not quite that simple. There are different types of APIs, each with its own access rules. First, the Open API, also known as Public API. These are available for anyone to use. For example, the CAT API I showed you earlier. Second is Internal API, sometimes called Private API. These are used within an organization to improve services and data sharing between different internal systems. Then is Partner API. These are externally available but require specific rights or licenses. For example, Uber and Lyft provides APIs that allow third-party developers to integrate functionalities like ride ordering directly into their apps. Then comes the Composite API. They streamline processes by making a single API call to retrieve or update data from multiple services at once. For example, if you're developing an app for Skippy Popsicles, you might use a Composite API to display a user profile, their recent purchases, and loyalty points in one interface by pulling data from different systems. Web Service API or Web API, these are specifically designed to enable communication between two applications over the web using network protocol like HTTP. Now, time for a fun fact. APIs were created before the World Wide Web. Hence, the special term used to define APIs that work with the internet is called web services.
Well, that's interesting. What is the benefit of using API?
First is efficiency. APIs provide ready-to-use functions so developers can focus more on creating unique features for their application, which helps in enhancing productivity and innovation. Then is security. API act as a gatekeeper by allowing only certain data to be exchanged between systems. For example, when apps like Uber or Swiggy use Google Maps, then only get access to location data necessary for their services without directly accessing to the Google server itself. This setup helps to protect sensitive information and ensures that each system reveals only what is needed. And then comes the user experience. By integrating various services, APIs provide a smoother, more cohesive user experience. For example, users can book flight, hotels, and rental cars all from a single Book My Trip app, which simplifies planning and booking trip.
The weather API, and what it does is that weather and geolocation of a particular location worldwide you can do. So first thing which we want to do is it's like sign up, and obviously you can view documentation to know that what exactly you need to do. So I come here and you see Weather API provides access to free weather and geodata with the XML and JSON format. So like that it is telling that what it can do. So it's all documentation and everything which you need to read and see that what details you need. But we want to keep it simple, we just want it for testing purpose. But this is how you read the documentation to understand that what request you have to make to get the response. So see, firstly it says that you need to sign up. Once you sign up, what you will get? You will be getting an API key. So API key is for authentication. Think of it as a locker key, that okay, instead of making it like okay you just sign up and then you can just simply do the get request like we were doing in the cat API case. In this one you need that API key to make it. But how will I know how I will be creating the endpoint? And for that they have this API Explorer to help us understanding that what we need to make. So if we go here in the API Explorer, you see you will be putting your API key which will be specific for you once you sign in your dashboard. Then you will be putting the protocol, the format, and then the location, like for example London, Delhi, whatever you want to put. See this, pass a US zip code or postcode or like that you can put the information and then you will be getting a response. So like that you can create. So let's go back. So it's like okay, it will be helping us in creating the endpoint, making understand what we need to do. So we are clear with that. Okay, API access to data is protected and we have the API key, and then we have to create the endpoint. See, this is the base URL. So it has given us the base URL also and gives us all the information on like parameters passed and other things. The reason I'm showing you is like API documentation is pretty detailed and you need to really know what you want, and that's how you will be able to do. So for example, I simply want to get the request. So if I want to get the request, what I need is endpoint URL, and then I need to, like for example, I want it for Delhi location. So then see this, it gives us the whole, okay, you need a key called Q, that is the parameter, and then you will be getting a location. So see in this one, I will show you. If you see, if you put like the key, whatever key you are putting, and then the HTTP and then JSON, see this is how you will be getting the response. Simple, right? Now let's check it in the developer console. So see, here we will be putting HTTP weather.pa.com, the base URL, and then we will be putting the key, and after the key we will be putting the parameter. So how I know this? Again, if you go back, so we have to learn how to read a documentation. So it says, see, you need to put key, that is the API key, and then there is a Q, that is the query parameter. So you need to put both of them. So let's go back. Here we have the key and then we have the query parameter that we wanted for Delhi location. So what you have done is, let's understand this line by line. So I'm in the anonymous window, and in the anonymous window, so basically I went here, I went to developer console, and then here I am here, debug, open anonymous window, and here I have the code. So instead of your API key, whatever your key is, you have to put that, and then you have to put other information. So you are creating a request object, and in that request object, so that you can add the endpoint methods like get, post, patch, delete, which we have discussed. Then you have created the HTTP object, and then you are like wanting to get the response. And this is the debug, like we want to see that okay, what is the status code, whether it is 200 or 400, whatever it is. So basically we will be getting the status code, we will be getting the body of the response, that what information it has got once we do the execute. So once we give the execute, because I'm not putting the API key, I will be showing you here. See this, once I put all these details, I will be getting something like this. location, Delhi, region, Ontario, country, Canada, whatever information it has, it will be giving me like this, and that's how I will be able to get the information from the weather API.
Now I am so clear on the concept of API. Can learning be more fun?
I hope you enjoyed the learning. Ready for a quick quiz to test what you have learned. So the question of the day. Which HTTP method is used to retrieve data? A. Post, B. Get, C. Delete, D. Patch. Drop your answer in the comments below and let's see how many of you get it right. Let's learn together.
If you enjoyed this video, then like the video and subscribe.